Cordial greetings, Professor. My name is Ferrer Vanegas, and I am going to present my research project. To start, my research project was the impact of role playing in the improvement of speaking skills in 6th grade English learners at Colegio Integrado Madre La Esperanza CDF Aeropuerto in the municipality of Sabana de Torres. I chose speaking skills as the focus of my study and research because during an observation period with a group of 37 6th grade students from Course 6.1, during the English classes I identified the speaking problems related to fluency and vocabulary use. As a result, their oral productions were isolated and slow. Additionally, they lacked the use of vocabulary covered in classes. With this in mind, among the English teaching and learning strategies, role play was adopted as a means by which it was hoped the students would improve their English speaking skills. Having said that, the general objective of the research project was to analyze how role play impacts the improvement of speaking skills in 6th grade English learners at Colegio Integrado Madre La Esperanza CDF Aeropuerto in the municipality of Sabana de Torres. In order to achieve this goal, three specific objectives were established. To identify students' prior English speaking skills by observing their performance in oral activities in their natural school context. To implement role-play activities within lesson plans, to explore students' oral discourse and interaction in English, and to reflect on students' attitudes and perceptions regarding the use of role-playing during English lessons. As I mentioned, the research focused on improving speaking skills. So I have some key concepts that shaped the path of the project's implementation. Speaking, considered as the oral expression based on clarity and confidence that establishes effective communication. Therefore, I consider it the most important linguistic skill because in real life it is the most used to communicate. Communicative language teaching, which is a pedagogical approach to language teaching that focuses on interaction. Sociocultural theory, which is basically the same. Social interactions equal better learning and skills development. And finally, we have roleplay, a pedagogical technique for simulating reality through specific roles. As can be seen, everything is based on learning through real interactions, that is, face to face. During the literature review, several studies were found that highlight the benefits of this strategy. It provides better contact with the target language, it offers a wide variety of activities, it increases students' feelings of comfort, and it promotes an enjoyable, stress, and fear-free motivational climate. However, information was also found about challenges in its implementation, demanding planning. These types of activities cannot be implemented across all thematic axes because otherwise they will feel unnecessary and will not generate positive results. Limited English proficiency. The student's level will always be a limiting factor. If the majority have a lower level than others, it will be a challenge to carry out these activities. Shyness. If students are not used to participatory activities, their potential may be compromised. And classroom management. These activities require a high level of classroom management because they require everyone's commitment. Now, speaking of the research project, this was a classroom action research, which is based on identifying a need among students in order to define a strategy and apply it to obtain better results. The development process followed the spiral model of action research by Chemist and McTaggart, which consists of 4 stages: planning, action, observation, and reflection. This means that a session is designed and carried out applying the strategy. Then the obtained results are analyzed to identify improvement to apply in the next session. So it is a continuous process. Since a qualitative approach was followed, data collection instruments focused on descriptions were used. Class observation forms as the way in which prior students' English speaking skills were recorded during their pre-implementation context. Qualitative observation guides, formats for collecting data related to the variables of the observed phenomenon, field diaries as tools to record the events that occurred during the class session before, during, and after the application of the strategy. Spontaneous conversational interviews, a casual way of collecting individualized information about the students' feelings, perceptions, and experiences during their participation. And finally, photographs. However, these ones are not a source of analysis, only a record of the project's development. On the other hand, to analyze the qualitative data collected, Brown and Clark's thematic analysis was used, which allows for the identification of patterns. In the findings, I found that the students had a fragmented word by word speech with excessive use of filler words, constant prolongation of sounds, and limited and inappropriate use of vocabulary. It was also found that the students were uncomfortable with oral activities because they felt afraid and embarrassed. Additionally, they were unable to see how this could help them in their lives. Nonetheless, after the application of the strategy, it was found that the students got a more natural speech with reduced pauses, less use of filler words, and better use of vocabulary covered in classes. Additionally, they showed more confidence in participating and perceived the speaking activities as fun but meaningful. Seeing that, I conclude that roleplay was an effective strategy to improve speaking skills because students displayed more natural rhythm and transitions between ideas, increased the vocabulary use, and demonstrated greater interest in speaking English. However, during the development, the research project faced some limitations. Implementation time. Only 3 of the 5 planned sessions could be implemented. Group size. The strategy was well received, but it caused disorder, forcing the activity to stop, and consequently limiting participation because the students were excited all the time. As a result, in future applications of this strategy, a longer application is recommended to observe long-term changes and to work with smaller groups. Finally, here we have some photographic evidence of the implementation sessions. And that concludes my project presentation. Thank you for your attention.